Hi friends, so I'm working on 2 companies right now and I'm entering week 7 of my postpartum, will be this Wednesday. And it's been a little bit harder to double down on work on my companies this week because little baby has been a little bit fuzzier. But I've been doing a lot of research on the different companies and market trends that are available out there. And today I want to talk to you a little bit of our flagship product, Feelings Flashcards for Conscious Kids. In the last video, I didn't get a chance to show it, but I want to talk about what was the reason that we started Conscious Kids, because I think it's part of where I'm trying to align the next products that we're going to add into our portfolio. And so we with my husband, started to think about Conscious Kids Feelings Flashcards around the pandemic, because if you guys remember, it was a lot of time where people were feeling such severe loneliness. People were starting to question if the careers they were in were the right ones. It was such an interesting emotional time for the entire planet. So we began to work on our feelings flashcards, and slowly but surely, one of the things that came up with my husband is he started doing a lot of more personal development work prior to me. I remember when he was doing hypnotherapy and different types of work on himself, and he would recommend, like, Danny, you should definitely work into it. I'm like, I don't have any issues. I don't need to work on that. Funny enough, of course, all of us have different types of work that we need to work on for ourselves. But one of the things that came up for me when I started working on myself and going to hypnotherapy is that when my hypnotherapist would ask me X situation, what were you feeling? I started to see a pattern arise, and it's that I only had about 4 words in my vocabulary to describe the emotions that I was feeling. It was like anger, frustration, happy, lonely. And as I started to read more and educate myself on the language of emotions, one of the things that I kept telling my husband is, it's wild that I wasn't even taught this vocabulary. I was raised by a very Catholic Latino family, and even though I'm super blessed for the family that I got, we were not encouraged to talk about our emotions all the time. Oftentimes it was frowned upon. It was that typical story of work hard, do your work, you're gonna be able to salir adelante, go be successful in your life. Education is the only thing that no one's going to take away from you. It was all about grit and hustle, and that was the recipe for success. Go to school, get a good degree, make sure you marry someone that's going to be good for you. But it was not about, how do you feel, and what did that emotion feel like, and what was the biggest thing that made you feel this down. I was super bullied in middle school. No one was asking me about how I felt because of being bullied. And so as I had this conversation with my husband of, I didn't have that vocabulary, I found it so beautiful that we can start creating this product. So Feelings Flashcard is 50 cards, and each card, I'll take some out. Each card goes into a different emotion for kids. So for example, here we have amazed. So we introduce the vocabulary to the child. Then we look at an example I feel amazed when I learn something new. And then for the child to have an ability to have self-awareness and recognize the situation for them. But I feel amazed when blank. And this allows the back and forth and conversation to partake between the caregiver and the child. And so that vocabulary and that lack of vocabulary that I had was something that was a really big insight, and for my husband as well. So that was the first product that we were okay, how about we start with the vocabulary? Because if you don't even have the language to express yourself, how could we talk about social emotional intelligence? And as the last couple of days, I've been doing research on what is there a need more in the market. I've been getting feedback from parents and therapists about certain products that are being we see a gap in the market. So we're trying to explore what those are and what is the best design of these products so that they really meet the need in the market and create the right learning experience for the child and the caregiver. Now, I think something that people don't talk about a lot when you're creating physical products is that research of, I believe there's 2. So something that a lot of people don't talk about a lot, or maybe they kind of brush over easily, is that when you're looking to design physical products, and especially for e-commerce, we have two main avenues, right? You can look at products that you feel like there's a need in the market because you see that there's a gap, and then you validate if there's a market opportunity with research. Or two, you can be like, I have no idea what to build, and just double down and research and look at Jungle Scout. I think the other one was Beaver. I'll try to put in the comments, that allow you to search for trends in Etsy, Amazon, Google. What are the most searched keywords and products, and what there's a gap in the market for. And then you can align with, okay, do I believe in this product? Do I want to look for product producers, manufacturers, and pursue that route? I personally have always enjoyed working on products that I enjoy or know a lot about, or that I just clearly know because of the people around me that there's a huge market opportunity. And then I love diving into the design of it, really working with manufacturers and getting samples, looking at the products, getting them, the materials. That's just something that I really enjoy doing. So for example, when we were working on these cards, getting different types of paper stock, different types of boxes, and seeing which one felt right in our hands, which ones felt, obviously looking at the economics, the unit economics of the product, to make sure that you're making sense for also what the willingness to pay is in the market. So that's a little bit about the feelings flashcards and kind of the journey that we went on there. Kind of went on a rant on some things that worked for us for e-commerce, but that's an update on where we are with that. My goal this week with the Feelings with Conscious Kids is to try to boil down to the top 2 products I want to explore and start talking with our manufacturers about, and start to see if we can start looking at the designs. We've also been getting feedback on some types of apparel, but I have always been hesitant of getting into apparel just because of the issue with sizing. In one of my first e-commerce companies, one of the rules that I followed from my mentors was like, don't get into sizing so that you avoid a lot of the returns. So there was like things around sizing, shipping, length, weight, to make sure that you're kind of protected yourself and your unit economics in the beginning. So I've historically been very hesitant about apparel, but we are getting so much ask around it that I'm gonna see if we can explore it and see if the unit economics make sense, and we'll validate some products, probably using some renderings. I think that's super important before you go manufacture and stock up on inventories, that you find a way to de-risk your position in the market. Because I know I learned the hard way getting stuck with inventory that we didn't need. And there are just so many tools right now for entrepreneurs to be able to validate with renderings in the market, maybe paying maybe $50 to $100 on ads, running them and seeing which ones get a lot of traction on the designs. So hope you guys like this little update. Subscribe if you want to keep following along. If you have any questions, feel free to message me or leave it in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video.